Hi, I'm Mary Bond. This time I'd like to bring your attention to an interesting feature of the scapula, the shoulder blade. And then I'll show you how to use your awareness of that feature to increase your sensations of support in your shoulders and arms. What you're looking at here is your scapula, the top of your upper arm bone, and if I turn it around, the clavicle, the collarbone, which attaches to the scapula up here at the top. And this whole arrangement fits on top of the torso like this, so that clavicle would fit onto the top of the sternum. This model doesn't quite fit together because they're from different companies, but you get the idea. When you move your arm forward and back, the scapula supports that movement by adjusting, or the scapula can also go slightly up and down, like that. The feature that I'd like you to know about is this little protuberance right here. So to get reoriented, here's the back of the scapula, and then I'm going to turn it around, and coming up the front surface of the scapula is this little protuberance. It's called the coracoid process, or to translate from the Latin, it's the crow's beak. And those are located right about here on us. So let's see if I can help you find yours. First, just find the top of your upper arm. It's called the head of your humerus, and it's round. And at the top of the roundness, you'll feel a flat place. That's the scapula. It's this part of the scapula called the acromion process. You see how it's just above the top of the arm bone. Next, we're going to walk our fingers from the acromion process down along the collarbone. So, find that acromion again, and then just walk your fingers little by little. You'll feel how the acromion then joins the collarbone. And now you know where that is. So go back to the head of the humerus, slide your thumb forward along the rounded surface, and at a certain point you'll drop off of that and you'll feel like you've fallen into a hole. And just a little farther inward is a little lump. You'd worry about it if you didn't know that that is the coracoid process. You can see my finger going round and round. It's like a little marble in there. And the coracoid process attaches to a muscle called pec minor. That's underneath the pec major that you know about. It lies in this direction and attaches to the third, fourth, and fifth ribs. So when it contracts, you can just put your finger there and you'll feel it. If you draw your shoulder forward and down, you'll feel the pec minor pop up. So that muscle is a shoulder stabilizer, and it's good to have it. But the problem is that when we don't activate serratus anterior and the lower trapezius and the other shoulder stabilizers that I've been teaching you about in previous blog posts and on my DVD, when those are underactive, then pec minor starts to take over and pull us into this rounded shoulder posture, which we don't like so much. When I sit in a slouched position like this, you can see how that narrows my shoulders. The chest is depressed and my neck is turtled forward. So watch what happens if I just change the foundation. Smart sitting, right? Rolling the pelvis a little forward. That elongates the front of the body and the front of the spine. Then, if I also engage the shoulder stabilizer muscles, as I've been teaching you in those previous blogs, remember this exercise with hands on the wall, where you get this activation in the back of the armpit. Then, with that activation, I also have space around the crow's beaks. I like to think of this area as the coracoid corners, and we want those corners to have space in them. So notice what a difference it is if I obey an instruction to lift my chest. So that's supposed to be good posture, right? But notice what happens to the back of my body. You see how the shoulder blades are pinched together and the back is narrow. Whereas if I just let the sternum relax and make space in the coracoid area, activate the serratus anterior muscle, then when you look at my back, it feels broader. Scapulas are lying flatter on the rib cage, and it provides much better support for the use of my arms. I don't know if you do much reading, but what I'm going to show you now applies to working at the computer as well. So if I'm not thinking about myself and don't pay attention, this is what would tend to happen to me reading. Notice that my shoulders have gotten very narrow, my head is jutting forward, the coracoids are buried, and I'm hanging on the ligaments of my shoulder girdle. All I have to do is just begin with the pelvis, change that. It would probably help if I prop the book up on something. I can still lean on my forearms if I want, but notice that the stress of supporting myself is distributed more equally through my whole system. And the coracoids are spacious, like little eyes looking at you, or headlights. So speaking of headlights, this applies to being in a car as well. This is a piece of Pilates equipment, but you get the idea. Here I am, driving along, traffic jam, or I can be this way in my car. So I hope that this awareness of the coracoid corners can be of use to you as you remap your sensations of support in your shoulder girdle. And I'll have more to say about this in a future blog post about heart opening. So look for that in a few weeks on my website. Bye for now.